Good morning.
Good morning.
This is exciting.
Yes.
This is the first ever episode of M Cast. This is your guys' brainchild, filming from one of our spaces, one of M spaces downtown Montreal. It's just us three and the construction guys outside who just started with a jackhammer.
What's new?
Yeah, seriously, we were just saying that, weren't we? Where it's
That's
just like,
Montreal.
if you've never been to Montreal, welcome. We're really nice and we love construction.
Exactly.
So I figure let's hang out, right? I mean, at the very bit off the top, I have to say that I was really flattered and super excited that you guys asked me to be a part of this. And it's just nice because now I get to sort of candidly ask you everything. Like, how did this come about? I'll ask all the questions, like I won't rail them off one after the other or whatever, but tell me about it. Like, when did you come up with this idea? How did this happen?
Do you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I actually think it's funny. I actually think he's the one who brought it up,
Yeah.
even though this was something that I thought of for years, and I spoke to Justin about years ago.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Well, Ray reached out to, we joined M last year, and Ray and I knew each other from the industry. He's someone that I have always respected and I liked, and joining M for me was an opportunity to get to know him more.
Nice.
And he reached out last year about starting a masterclass. We meet once a month, discuss business, struggles, things that we should improve on. What am I doing? What he's doing, especially with this market that's changing a lot. And 3 months, September? Yeah, in September.
Yes.
Yeah, in September we went for lunch, and we had a cigar after.
Weird.
And
It's not like you guys.
Yeah. So cigars always get us together.
Yeah.
And we start talking about business, and I said to him, something it's missing that's been in my mind is doing a podcast, not a real estate base podcast where we have the opportunity to interview experts in their own fields that we can learn from and grow.
Yeah.
And he said to me, you know what? I have a vision board. And in the last 3 years, I always had the word podcast on that vision board.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that I did not execute.
Yeah.
And I told him, well, buddy, let's do it.
Those things work. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
Anyone that I know who's put together vision boards, doesn't matter if they like physically crafted it together on their living room floor, or they just did something digital on their computer or whatever, it works. You put it in front of you and maybe not the next day, but that's amazing.
So basically. So it was discussed 3 months ago. And here we go. We're here.
That's not long, is it?
And I don't think we could have done it without the M family.
Yeah.
Ray reached out to Justin, and then he said, let's have a meeting. Let me hear about what you guys have in mind.
Yeah.
And with your support, it's becoming a reality.
I just took everything in me to not do my best Justin impersonation. I won't do it. It's too loud. It's too early, but it's
Not
okay. It's not bad, I swear.
Yeah.
That's amazing, though. And I love that you guys sort of decided that it would be not necessarily business focused or like what you do for a living focused.
That's right.
I think there are a lot of those podcasts out there and they're all great. And I think they serve a purpose and everything. But I just love that, I don't know, it just sort of puts out there that you aren't only what you do, which kind of brings me to my next question. But you've got a thought.
Yeah, so it is, and it's not a business related.
Yeah.
We've been in this industry now like 12, 15 years.
Yes.
Each, right?
Going on 16 years myself.
And, you get to meet people who have financial struggles, who have relationship struggles, who have mental health struggles, who have other struggles. So the purpose of this podcast is to bring educational platform for our clients and viewers. If you have a relationship struggle, hopefully we're hoping to interview someone who is an expert in relationships and they can give some tips how to overcome certain struggles. So that's the whole idea. So it's not a real estate base, but it's growth and living a better life.
I love that. I really do. I think it's true because a lot of people listen, people are complex human beings, aren't they? Like they'll listen to a number of podcasts and so on, but it's really great to have one in the rotation that has this variety where it's just like, doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what you do specifically in your day in, day out, but has everything to do with your passions in life and the things that you're curious about and the stuff that you find interesting. Because, like, I don't know, most people will be as well. Any
That's
conversations I've had with you guys have never really been real estate centric. It's like, I'm in the industry as well, but I don't sell houses kind of thing. That's not the part of real estate that gets me out of bed in the morning. So I like this. I think it'll be, I don't know, already I want to sink my teeth into it. But I mean, that was my sort of first question for you then. Like, how would you describe yourselves if you couldn't mention what you do for a living? I'll go to Ray first.
Well, that's interesting because the whole premise to the podcast was, when we first discussed it, I said to him, I don't want to talk about inspections and open houses.
Yeah.
I'm not discussing real estate. There's way too many real estate podcasts out there, and everyone knows what we do. Our faces are all over the West Island and Vaudreuil and downtown, right? So people know us for what we do, but when we're going to sit down and have conversations with industry experts and people who are, leaders within their own space, it's going to help us grow as human beings, as brokers, as professionals.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's going to help our viewers understand the types of people we work with on a day-to-day basis and how we can help them, through our personality or our network. So we're opening up our network and our Rolodex, for lack of other terms, to the viewers. And it's extremely important to share who we are as people. Real estate, and being a real estate broker and being a very good one, or a very popular one for that matter, it comes with a little bit of a celebrity status. And I'm going to be completely unfiltered when I say that. Okay. So when people look at you, they think that your life is perfect. They think that you're making a lot of money, you go to really nice restaurants, you drive nice cars, and your life is easy. But they don't see, like, that picture, I'm sure you've seen it on Instagram, where they kind of explain the there's the mountain, or there's the is it iceberg? Yeah, exactly. Too early for me. They explain the iceberg, or they show the iceberg, and then people see the iceberg, but they don't see everything under the sea or the
struggles.
Ocean. They don't see all the struggles. They don't see the late nights, the weekends, the letting your kids down, letting your family down, not being there when they want you to be there, watching them play sports or date night, or it could be anything. So we are going to open up with the viewers in regards to who we are, the struggles we've had, and at the same time, our advice to realtors or young professionals that are embarking on this journey themselves, so we can help them. I'm a huge advocate of paying it forward.
Yeah, for sure.
I never worked on a team. I never had a mentor, or not a mentor, but I never had someone that taught me how to sell real estate. I did have mentors, and I still do to this day in business and life. And I do see a life coach regularly. But I think paying it forward is so important, because someone else out there is waiting to be given a chance. And I think this is going to be one of the avenues we're going to use to do as such.
A bit of positivity, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I got to ask you again then. How would you describe yourself if you couldn't mention what you do for a living?
Wow, that's a very good question. See, this is why we love podcasts, right? It's unfiltered, and it's just like unhinged, and it's who you really are. You're trying to explain who you really are. Who am I without describing?
Yeah. How would you describe yourself without mentioning what you do for a living?
Wow. I'm a very ambitious person. Extremely. I'm very ambitious. I'm very, very, very focused. I know what I want. I know how I'm going to get there. A lot of people may look at me, or I may sometimes look at myself on certain days and think I am there. I don't think I am. That's a part of the struggle, because we constantly move the finish line. So I'm very ambitious. I'm very focused. I'm a family man, I'm a hockey dad, avid golfer, love working out. We enjoy cigars. other than that, I mean, to explain myself, I'm a regular guy from the West Island. And just trying to make a mark and I guess do things a bit differently. That's been one of my, if you want to call it, I don't know what term to use, but my style in, say, the business or not in the business is that I try to do things differently. I try to push the envelope.
Nice.
And I do that in everything in life.
Perfect.
So that's the way I would describe myself. There's more to it, but I think we have many more episodes to discuss that.
Yeah, well, we're complex beings. Mr. Souini?
I would say the same thing. Ambition runs in the family.
Yeah.
I was raised in an environment where ambition, work ethic, having integrity was part of the family values. That's how I was raised. Yeah. I love living a happy life, and happy life comes with work that you have to put in.
Yeah.
So I think I'm charismatic.
Yeah.
I'll let you.
You are,
say,
for sure. Both of you guys are. Are you kidding?
When I have a goal in mind, I will accomplish the goal. And I remain a student of life, and I'm always seeking knowledge and growth in everything that I do. I love to surround myself with people who are gonna better me and that I can learn from. And going back to the podcast and the purpose is for us to grow and keep learning
Yeah, I was going to say, you made such a good point before where you were talking about it being an education for people listening, but it's like, it's also an education for you guys, isn't it? 'Cause,
absolutely.
People that you're speaking to and like learning from, and the bits and pieces that they'll sort of divulge over time is like...
if you go back to real estate, there are two types of realtors. There are ones who will have a good year in production or two, and then you won't hear about them. But you have the ones who are very consistent year after year.
Yeah.
And to be able to run a business with a strong production, it requires a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
From mental health, from discipline, and I think that's what Ray and I are trying to achieve here. Things that we need knowledge on, we are gonna get it from this podcast.
I love it. I mean, how could it possibly go wrong? Famous last words.
I think it's important to also note that Ali and I, the reason why we get along so much is because when we have conversations, I've noticed this, and I'm sure he has too, 90% of the time, we're constantly talking about how to improve every category or department within our life.
Yeah.
Mental health, physical health, business, working within a team, managing a team, taking care of your clients, growing the business. But outside of that, something as simple as, we've talked about the cold plunge, how we want to buy the cold tub,
Don't get me
I don't know if he has
started.
done it yet, but it's something that I really want to do because he touched on sauna earlier. And
You can't have one without the other at this
you
point
can't
in my
have,
mind.
exactly, you can't have one without the other. And I was talking to a client yesterday and he asked me, he's like, what gym do you go to? So I mentioned my gym. And he said, oh, that's interesting because that's the only gym in the area that has a steam room and a sauna. And I might have to, pick that one over others too.
Yeah.
It's because in a certain day, I have a morning routine, but then I also have like a physical routine that I go through because I'm a huge believer if you don't take care of yourself before starting your day, you can't take care of others.
Oh, for sure. They equate it to, I've heard someone say this before, particularly with any of my friends who are moms.
Yeah.
They tend to put themselves last and they have a hard time, life can get very overwhelming very, very quickly.
Yes.
And one of the things that I read and then passed on to a friend of mine who was like just super stressed out at the time. And I was like, hey, if there's something wrong on a plane and the masks come down, they tell you to put the mask on you first before you put it on your kid.
That's such a good
And she was
analogy.
like, shut up. I'm like, yeah, you shut up kind of thing. But it was just like, it's one of those. And it's the same premise. Like, if you're not taking care of yourself first, then you can't take care of other people as well. But the cold plunge thing, let me tell you.
Yes.
I did this. I've done it before, but
Yes.
I did it recently. And I I may or may not have had a hangover at the time.
Yes.
But it was an absolute cure. I felt like $1,000,000 after that. Just going from hot to cold. I did it for like an hour, and like my entire
you feel
life
like
changed.
an instant dopamine.
Oh my God! I meal prepped. I cleaned the
yes,
house. Like
yeah.
I was on fire afterwards.
Well, when you're hungover, if you were hungover,
Like
yes.
cannot confirm
Of
or
course,
deny.
yeah. What happens is your body overheats
Yeah.
from the alcohol, right? Because all of your organs are being overworked to like kind of expel your body of the alcohol.
Yeah.
So as it's overheating, when you take the cold plunge, you're kind of bringing your body temperature back to the level it should be at.
Yeah.
But the reason why it's so good for your health is because during that time, when you do the cold plunge and then you come out of the cold plunge, you're burning way more calories to bring your body temperature back to normal levels
Yeah.
than you would in 5 or 10 seconds, like on a Stairmaster or lifting
Yeah.
weights.
Right, yeah.
So
And
it's
way
a
more
great
enjoyable.
way. It feels great. See, we look at everything in life as, it feels great, but
Yeah.
there's so many underlying benefits. And this is a perfect example of this podcast. We're not going to discuss, we're not going to discuss cold temperatures
Yeah.
and how to, protect your home in the winter months.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss cold plunges,
Yeah, and the benefits of. I feel like there's a lot of experts on it, and then here
Going
I
back
am,
to
just like, it
cold,
feels nice.
plunge, I was listening to I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast, and in few occasions, apparently now this is becoming his first thing he does every single morning before he goes for his workout.
So does Tony Robbins.
Yeah, that's what he does.
I try to do the cold shower thing. Am I as good as them then?
Well, I mean, I'm not an expert, but in the winter times, having a cold shower will give you the same benefits, I think,
Yes.
as a cold plunge.
It's like the last thing you want to
Yeah.
do, though. First thing in the morning.
First thing in
you're
the
like,
morning, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
good. Okay, so I'm like partway there. I'm almost Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Thank
So
God.
coming back to our original thought is that we have so many common interests, but the interests don't lie only within our real estate businesses.
Yeah.
The interests are like when him and I talk, it's constantly about improving different departments within our life or categories. But
Yeah.
when we do that and we leave the room or the conversation, you instantaneously feel better
Yeah.
because you're picking up on energy, you're picking up on something new, you're learning something.
Yeah.
We're going to offer this to all the viewers as well.
And clients wants to do business with people that have a good energy. I mean, of course, you have to be very knowledgeable. You have to run a proper business, and you have to be good at what you do. But having that good energy and being very positive client sense that.
Well, I think there's like relatability here, isn't there? Because
is.
it's like you talk about, I don't know, billboards and postcards and so on. Like, you're right. People know who you are. Even if you didn't have those things, just by virtue of being in the business for 15, 16 years, whatever it may be, of course, within certain communities, people are going to know who you are. Fine, great.
Yes.
But now it's more a question of just sort of like, I've seen that guy's face and I've seen that he's done a lot and I've seen that like he sold my neighbor's house, whatever, fine.
Yes.
But now they get to hear that actually obviously there's like much more to everybody, right?
That's right.
But things are very surfacey these days. Things
Yeah.
are very, whatever I see on social media, whatever I see on a billboard or whatever it is, then they take things for face value. But at least with this, people can sort of be like, okay.
Now they're going to get to know that we like jumping in, buckets full of ice every morning. I
Yeah.
guess.
Especially now that
They're going to get a lot more out of this, I think.
I think they're
it's
going
going to
to
be
get a lot
more
more.
than just the ice
Yes,
bath and
yes.
so on.
And it comes down to not only this podcast is not only going to be us talking about us and what we do. It's going to be so important to feature different types of guests, whether they are clients of ours or within our network, because everyone's going to bring something different to the table. And one thing we're also going to feature, which is great, is we're going to have a lot of the team at M, in discussions every few episodes. So
Our group of misfits, are you kidding?
exactly,
Yeah.
we're all going to sit at a round table, and
Oh
everyone's
my
going to get to know
God.
us even better.
If you
Michelle
have
came
all
up with
of
the
us-
name Home Buddies.
That's a good
Home
one.
bodies,
I
yes.
love it.
Yes.
She's a genius,
Home
that
bodies.
girl.
Yeah.
She is.
Michelle came up
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Might I suggest not having all of us around the table at the same time? It will just be white noise. Like,
Yes.
no one will hear anything
That's
but
true.
just noise and weird jokes.
In our
and
industry, everyone
busting
likes
out
to
into
talk.
song.
Yeah.
That happens often.
That's true.
Do you live a good life?
I try to. If I have to define a good life, Yes. Going back to my upbringing, my parents provided me with a great life, and I'm used to that good life. And to maintain and sustain that life, I have to do what I have to do every day, work hard. Also, I have a great support system at home. I have a beautiful wife who supports my dream and allows me to go and be. And that to me, that's already a good life, having a great support system.
Good life, good
yeah,
life.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Every day is different, right?
Yeah.
There are challenges,
Thank
and some days are good, some days are not. I mean, it's not a rainbow and sunshine.
No.
But the goal is to know that life could be a struggle, and is how you overcome the challenges.
Yeah.
And I try to create a good surrounding, good environment. I think that allows me to live a good life. Is the surrounding that I've been trying to create for the past, 10, 15, 20 years. And I keep refining my surrounding.
Yeah.
And I think by having that, you will live a good life.
Makes me think two things, because it's like you'll often hear a lot of people talk about how they came up from nothing and they made a really great name for themselves, and they've achieved success, and that is absolutely sensational. My goodness, hats off to everybody. There is something to be said as well about maintaining a good life, because there are some people, I think it would be very easy to take a good life for granted when you're young.
Yep.
And if part of that good upbringing includes like, this isn't just going to be handed to you. You have to work. You have to do things you have to earn respect and money and
That's
success in these things. Like no one's just going to be like,
Well, I think everyone
You grew up good.
will have a different outlook on a good life,
Yes.
right? Going like for me, as long as my needs are covered,
yeah,
I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm good, right?
Yeah.
I have a roof over my head. I eat well. I'm healthy. I have a great support system at home.
Yeah.
I have a good surrounding of friends. I think to me,
friends are important.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I feel I learned at one point in my life that I was only as interesting or funny or kind or unkind as the people I was around. And it took sort of like being alone for a while and like being in a place where I had no friends type deal before I realized I was like, I'm boring. I don't do or say anything of interest. And then you sort of like sit down with someone interesting and you're just sort of like, I can talk to you. I understand. And like just all of a sudden you start hearing yourself
right.
say things and so on. I think the same premise kind of goes to this. Like you are the company that you keep, isn't it? If you surround yourself with people who are, I don't know, social duds or don't have the same ambition that you do and so on, I think after time people sort of start to become like the people that they surround themselves with.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ray, do you live a good life?
I'm going to answer this with a different way.
I thought you were going to say with a song.
No,
I'm gonna sing
no
a song.
song yet. Maybe at a future episode.
Okay.
But if you were to tell me or suggest to me even 50% of the things I have today, years ago, I would have told you there's no way. So I use that as a definition of I'm living a great life.
Yeah.
You know, I heard something interesting this weekend, and it was that where there is ego, you can never be grateful.
Yeah.
So the minute ego comes into, and ego is very, 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 you know, if you want to use the term common or you know, it's present in our industry, and you can't be grateful. So do I live a good life? My perception of a good life might be different from yours and yours. I think that I'm a believer of life is what you make it, and you design your life. So you design where you're going to live. You design the types of clothes you are going to wear. You know, you design the types of people you are going to associate yourself with, the vacations you're going to go to. And based on the way I've designed my life, yes, I live a good life. Can it be better? Always. And that's exactly why we're doing this podcast, to improve our lives and try to help improve the lives of our viewers.
I love that.
And you know, you touched on friends. One thing I want to mention is that, you know, there's that quote, you are the sum of the 5 people you associate yourself with the most.
Oh my God,
You know,
I'm just picturing my 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you're 5, so you're like an average of them, right?
Yeah.
I am such a huge believer of surrounding yourself with people that are greater than you, smarter than you,
Yeah.
you know, better in different categories of life than you. Why? Because you want to be in a room where you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
You know, and your friends, you know, they use the term guilty by association. Your friends will make you or break you.
Yeah.
And I explain that to my kids at such a young age. I tell them at a young age, the people you associate with and you hang out with now will be your friends in high school,
Yeah.
will then be your friends in college possibly, and then university, and so on and so forth. And
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, do you think there's a point in life where we stop making new friends?
I think that I don't think we stop making new friends. I think what happens is your priorities change. So Ali and I have become friends because as a byproduct of business. But was there a chance that me living in Notre-Dame-Ville-Perrot and him living out in the West Island, you know, that we were going to cross paths if we were both working in the corporate world? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't become friends with him.
Yeah.
So I think your priorities change when you get to a certain point in your life. And I think you kind of surround yourself with people that have similar interests.
That's right.
Case in point, I mean, Justin has become a good friend of mine.
Yeah. I don't see how.
Yeah.
Hard to get along with.
Yeah.
It's really tough to get along with.
Extremely easy
Yeah.
to get along with, extremely fun to be around.
What a guy.
And that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think friends, it's so important. But making friends, I think it's a priority. Like we don't wake up now and say, you know, we really want to like hang out with that guy down the street. We do that when we're 10 years old.
Yeah.
Now it's more, you know, who am I breaking bread with?
Yeah.
Do I want to sit across the table from this person for 3 hours?
There's such a necessity to me, I find. Like, talk about how we define ourselves. For example, like one of my things is I am a friend, for sure.
Yes.
I think I rely on my friends for a lot. Maybe like nothing like sort of, I guess emotionally, I suppose, or just like I just need to hang out sometimes. Like I just
You
want
know,
break bread is like the best way to put it. Like
100%.
we just need to be around a kitchen island just talking about absolutely nothing and absolutely
Exactly.
everything and the things that does for my soul. I leave there like, thank you very much. See you
And
soon.
I think to gain a friend, you need to be a friend first.
yeah.
And if you don't make the time to be a friend to the people around you or seek out friends, coming
Yeah.
down to priorities,
Yeah.
you know, there was a time in my life where I completely isolated myself and all I did was be a husband, father, and businessman. And it was work, home, work, home. And then I realized there's a subset of my friends that like stop inviting me.
Yeah.
So, you know,
But maybe your kids were much younger at the time,
Yes.
for example. I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
yes.
But also responsibilities shift, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
responsibility shift.
Shift, that's the thing.
And
right?
priority shift.
Right, that's
You know, so it's interesting because Ali and I, once again, in one of our masterminds at the Point Claire office a few weeks ago, I spoke to him about work-life balance, and he looked at me and he goes, "That's bullshit. I don't believe in that." And I was like, "This is amazing."
Sounds like an Ali Souini thing to say.
Exactly. This is why I love this guy. And he goes, "It's all about priorities. There's no such thing as balance." And he's 100% right. So I believe in the 4 burners on a stove.
Yeah.
If all 4 burners are going at the same time, everything is cooking simultaneously. Nothing is being done well.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, you can, you know, put maybe 1 burner on slow and the other 3 a bit higher.
Yeah.
It all comes down to, you know, the priorities in your life and what burner is really high and what's slow. So
And actually, I learned this from my wife. And so we've been married for 12, 13 years. We've been together for 15 years. It wasn't, you know, always rainbow and sunshine. You know, we go through struggles. But the last 5, 6 years, and she always, she's like, Ali, I don't need to see you every day. But when I see you,
She's like,
I want us to have a
"Wow."
quality time, right? Do your thing. You have to work. You're in an industry where you're probably going to have to be out there 7 days a week,
Yeah.
hustling, trying to grind. That's fine. But when we spend time, it's a quality time.
Be with me, yeah.
She doesn't need me 50% of the time, right? But she wants 20, 30%, but she wants quality 20, 30%.
Yeah.
put your phone away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right?
For
So,
sure.
yeah.
All this sounds like balance to me, guys. I'm really sorry. I am the balance girl. But I also think that like having something on a lower burner, like, or starting something a little bit later is also a form of balance, isn't it? 'Cause
That's right.
It's just like we can't do everything in equal portions all at the same
right.
time.
No. Well, that's where burnout comes, right?
Yeah.
So my life coach says to me, he says, if you are a supercar, you go in to get your car serviced once a year.
Yeah.
But you're a supercar, you still need to service that car.
Yeah.
And he goes, at the end of the day, you need to do things other than just focusing on how much and how fast and how great you're going to grow your business.
Yeah.
So you need to focus on your mental health. You need to focus on your physical health. You need to spend time with your wife and kids. You need to spend time with friends. You need to seek out friends.
Yeah.
And it's so important because after a weekend off where I'm not working 7 days a week, on that Monday, I'm a better father, better husband, better broker, better colleague. I'm better at everything because I went through phases in my career and business where I worked 7 days a week, nonstop, for more than a calendar year.
Did it feel like work? Did you want to do it, or was it like a push? You had felt like you had to.
For me, this business that I'm in, it's not work because I jump out of bed and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Anytime, anywhere. But you get to a point where Saturday morning, Sunday morning is the same as Monday and Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
That becomes a bit difficult on both physical and mental health.
Have either of you guys ever burnt out?
Multiple times.
Really?
You go first. Mine's probably a long one.
I think I've had one, and I'd never do it again.
Maybe I did. Probably I wasn't aware of it.
I certainly wasn't.
Sometimes I feel when I keep going for a good, there are times where I've actually went for 6-7 months with no day off.
Yeah.
I'm a workaholic. I love to work. It's just in my nature.
Yeah.
I think it's more the mental aspect than the physical with our business. It's not the transactions, it's dealing with people, dealing with different people, and how you have to adapt to each client. And certain clients, they say like, how are you always available? And they feel that they are the only client that we have.
Yeah.
But we always have like 5 to 10 plates spinning at any given time, and that's how we make a living, right? You can't make a living from one transaction. You have to have 10 things happening at any given time.
Yeah.
And each plate has its own challenges. So to be able to manage each plate requires a lot of mental strength, and sometimes it is not sustainable. I'm lucky that I work in a team, so I get to share my struggles and my challenges with my business partner Chris and Ashley. It helps, but
got to take a brain break.
that's exactly So now so when I'm mentally exhausted, tired, I think that's a sign of burnout.
Yeah. I think burning out helps us recognize it too, where it's just like, I felt this before. I'm going to nip this in the bud and take a break now. Otherwise.
Well, this is something, where you both tapped in on earlier, you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of your business, right? I think I've changed certain practices in the last, I would say 2-3 years. I'm an avid runner, so I tend to run almost every single day. It's the first thing that I do every morning, and I find that helps me a lot to start my day in a happy way.
Yeah.
We talked about the sauna. I installed a sauna in my house like 3 years ago, and that's been a great investment. So this is something that I use almost every single day after my exercise, whether I go running or I'm doing a weight lifting session. I think implementing these routines on your daily life helps you to stay mentally clear.
Yeah.
And I think you will be aware when you have a burnout,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
by doing that, right?
Well, I think when you do get to the point of burnout, first of all, it's too late.
Yeah.
Because then what's going to happen is all the four burners are turned off, and you need to kind of like escape. Whether you're escaping physically, mentally, or emotionally, you're going to want to escape. I think burnout rates in industry like ours, or stockbrokers, or the financial sector, or even medicine, I'm not comparing ourselves to doctors or nurses, but at the end of the day, when you're in a very demanding business, I think the separation of brokers that, or business people that burn out and don't burn out, it's very small. Like you could get to that point so fast and so easily that, like I said, by the time you get there, you're going to look back and be like, oh my God, how did I get to this point? Why am I, being triggered by this client or this colleague?
Yeah.
And it's not, the reason why we burn out is because we try to take on either too much, or we try to be too much to too many people. So coming back to balance, but if you don't want to use the word balance, we could use priorities.
Yeah.
Is your priority waking up and going for a jog? During COVID, gyms were closed, so every second day I was running 5 kilometers. But I would see Ali running, and granted, he wasn't at the same agency as us back then, but he would motivate me through his social media posts. And I would look at that and be like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to do the same thing. So not even knowing that he's inspiring someone, he's inspiring me. So, taking the time to do that in the morning and taking care of yourself and kind of putting the mask on yourself in the plane before you put it on the, passenger next to you, I think it's extremely important. But I also think it's important to, we're so fortunate to be in a business where we can pick and choose how much we work, who we work with, and who we associate our brand with.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I think that we have every tool not to burn out. But the reason we burn out is because, like I said, being too much to too many people all the time, or sometimes, unfortunately, it's just greed.
Yeah.
And it's lack of discipline too, right?
Yes.
I mean, we have everyone has access to tools
Yeah.
to equip himself or herself not to burn out.
Yeah.
And there is so much awareness out there, and we have to be aware of it. But again, a good early morning daily routines will set your day.
What was it? I think I saw this on Netflix somewhere. Oh, it was the documentary Stutz, where Jonah Hill is talking to his therapist. It's
Phenomenal.
so good. So good. But in that, he talks about his life force, where it's like that triangle that he draws. And in order to I think for this in particular, they were talking about depression and anxiety, and like, this is a good way to get away from it kind of thing, or to pull yourself out of it. And it's that triangle, and the bottom of it is your relationship with your physical self. The middle is your relationship with others, and the top is your relationship with yourself, like your emotional self.
Yes.
But they said that if once you have developed a routine for taking care of your physical self, that's actually something like 80%, don't quote me on the percentage, it's a high percentage of the work that has to be done. And it's like, once you've mastered physical and you have a routine, you're running in the morning, you're doing yoga, whatever it is, that will make you feel 80% better, essentially.
That's right.
And then you've got your other 20% between your relationships with others and your relationship with yourself. And I was like, it's so not simple, obviously, but you're right. Everyone has the tools. It doesn't mean go out and buy a gym membership that might not be available to you, and that's absolutely fine. But if you have a floor, you can work out on it.
Absolutely.
You can do something that will. For me, it's always been the guilt I feel if I don't do something physical for myself. Yeah, it's horrible. Like,
I think it's also dopamine, right? It's the shot of dopamine early in the morning, or it's endorphins. It's how you feel, and then that relays into, they say motion creates emotion. So when I'm talking to a client, and it's a client that I'm courting, or a client whose business I'm trying to get, I tend to stand up and walk around my office, or I tend to stand up and walk around the room. Yeah. Because motion creates motion. I don't want to sit there and be like, hey, my name's Raymond, I think motion in the morning or throughout your day, that also creates your emotion.
Yeah.
So there's been times where I will get an email or a text message that I don't agree with or I don't like reading. After my workout, I view it very differently.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll go
So-
0 to 100 real quick, but for like 5 minutes, and
But-
then I'll.
Also, your years in the business,
Yes.
the amount of transactions that you've
Yeah.
done, the confidence that you've built,
Yes.
the knowledge, right? So I think that will also have an impact how you react to a situation.
It's interesting. I was last night. I was going back and forth with a client after 9 p.m. Personally, I don't like doing that at that time, but I had to. And then I reflected in the evening because my life became a bit unmanageable, and I knew we were recording this morning. So my drive into the Drummond office this morning, I was reflecting on it even more. And I realized that the more business and transactions and clients you have, the more likely you are to deal with more unpleasant or stressful or frustrating issues or clients, rather than ones that are more pleasurable or enjoyable. Because at the end of the day, when we hire someone for a service, we don't care what's going on in their life. We just want them to take care of what we need.
That's right.
Right? So there's two types of businesses. Either you have a product or you have a service. We are in the service business.
Yeah.
So we are dealing with people and personalities and psychology.
That's
right.
Whereas when you have a product and I'm selling this tumbler, I sell it, the person walks out, pays me $20, and I might never see them again in my life. So there's two types of businesses. We chose the service business. I have friends that are in the business of selling products. They tell me the service business is great. We would never choose the product business ever, but they're in it.
Yeah.
And then there's people that I know in our business that look at that business and say, I wish I just owned a bar or a restaurant, but to each their own.
And we're in the people business, right? And I think what gives you that burnout and anxiety and stress, it's dealing with people. I think I talked to you about perception and perspective not too long ago. I've listened to it at a podcast. I think where you're in a sales environment trying to provide a service, try to see things from someone else's perspective, not your own perception. By doing so, I think you're going to be ahead and you won't take anything personally. The person react the way they react because of how they are. So you choose to sign a contract with them, therefore you have to service them. So you can take things personally and have the experience, not the one you want to give, a bad one, or you're just trying to see things from their own perspective and adapt to the way how they think. And I think that's gonna help the experience to be good.
I fully agree. I also think that is amazing in theory and way harder in practice. Because you could have, not even like just in this industry, but you could have just a really volatile human being who's just like, it's in their nature to be just, combative, and they just, everything is negative and everything like that. And it's hard in those moments to just sort of be like, everyone's got a story.
No, I understand.
I gotta be nice to this person.
But also, a relationship with a client is a two-way thing. So, right? If we're not on the same page, I don't mind difficult clients. That's fine. But when someone is ignorant and arrogant, you can't work with them. Simple as that. So it's just...
That comes down to, is it worth it? The burnout. You have to look at the client, and you have to look at, is that person a fit? At the beginning of my career, I would take on a rental, I would take on a buyer, I would take on a condo project, I would take on a seller, I would do this, that, and the other, and I was everything to everyone. But at the time, I had to do that because I was building my brand. Now I'm at a point where I can pick and choose my clients. So when you are dealing with someone that is arrogant or ignorant or is rude or does not respect boundaries, I have some clients, to be quite honest with you, they'll call me at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I'll see the missed call, and they're not friends, so they're clearly calling me about business. And you get to a point where you have to pick and choose, because those are the tools you need to use to not get to the point of burnout.
Yeah.
And you might love those clients calling it 10:30. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
they
Well,
might
at the
be
beginning
really
of your
lovely
career,
humans,
it's interesting. When a client would call me, I would jump. You know, I would be like, anytime,
Rightly
anywhere.
so, I think,
sure.
yeah.
One of my first properties I ever sold was in Hemmingford, which is where Park Safari is.
Yeah.
So I drove from the West Island to Hemmingford.
Oh boy.
Signed the brokerage contract, which back in the day you would have to sign it, by hand. There was no e-signature 16 years ago. And every time there was a visit, because the house was vacant and I had the keys, I would have to go show it. And I ended up selling it, but I was very proud of selling it. If you ask me today, Raymond, will you take on a listing in Hemmingford? Probably not. I think it's better I refer it to someone and have them, take care of the client for me. Because not only does the client get taken care of better by that person, but it allows me to give more time and energy to the clients that I have in the area that I've decided to work in, or the projects that I've decided to work on. So you can't be everything to everyone.
For sure. I actually think that was the best advice I was given by an old boss of mine once. I would, maybe not as much anymore, but at the heart of it, I'm a people pleaser. I say yes to everything, particularly at work, where I'm just like, yep, you need help with that, I'll do it. Yep, you need help with that, I'll do it. I can see you're really busy, give me some of that, I'll take it, kind of thing.
Yes.
And I remember I was, a manager on a marketing team, and our manager used to sit down with us, the director used to sit down with us all the time, always had our one-to-ones and everything like that. And I had an evaluation. I was up for review for evaluation and everything. He sits down, he's like, everything's great, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he always made sure he gave advice in some way. And he was very good at it. He'd be like a nice human being. And he was just like, there's power in saying no. And I was like, what do you mean? He was just like, you should go home before 9. He's like, you don't have to say yes to everybody. Like, you're not the only person who can help them. He's like, it's lovely that they're coming to you. That's really great. But there's power in saying no. And I was like, okay. But at that point, the way that my brain worked, because my boss said that to me, I also took that as a thing to add to my to-do list. Say no this week, kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And then I did. And then I was like, yeah, it felt good.
The minute you say yes to something or someone, you're saying no to yourself. So if you say yes to me about something I may ask you today, whether it's in alignment with who you are or not, you're saying no to yourself.
Yeah.
So if a client says to me, I need to meet you on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. The minute I say yes to that client, I'm saying no to me, my wife, and my kids. The minute I say yes to having a drink, I'm saying no to myself. Or it could mean anything, It could be, something as simple as, having an appointment, or something as big as, something you don't want in your life anymore, right? So it's so important, and I try to live by that all the time now. So I ask myself, do you really want to say yes to this? Because if you do, Raymond, you're saying no to yourself. And you're saying no to what you want. But if it's in alignment with who I am, like doing this podcast, this podcast or doing something with Ali or with M was not within my alignment or what I wanted to do as a person or as a passion project, at that point I would have said no to him. It would have been a very uncomfortable lunch,
For sure.
But I think it would be important, because what happens is I'm also now leading him on then. With false promises, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then all of a sudden we wasted all this time and energy on it, man. Like, why did we do that? I think we're at a point in our life, not only our age, but just in general, like, do you really want to do that? Is it worth it? Ask yourself that all the time.
It would be hard for me to ask myself that question without then turning it into the Missy Elliott song. But I will start doing it, I promise. I'm going to take a hard right turn very quickly, if you guys don't mind. I've got a bit of a humdinger of a question that was asked me a little bit ago. And it was, what do you think defines a person? Is it their thoughts or is it their actions?
You taking this one or what?
The silence means it's a humdinger for you too.
I think I'm going to answer it by telling you your thoughts lead to your actions, so it's both.
Secret answer number 3.
Yeah, it's definitely both. Because your thoughts, your thoughts are your reality. So where attention goes, energy flows, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So your thoughts become your actions.
Yeah.
Unless you control your thoughts, which is possible. But to define a person, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be their actions for sure.
Yeah. I
sure.
feel like the actions is what other people see, isn't it?
That's right.
Or,
I mean,
like you were saying
actions
before.
without thoughts won't be actions, right?
Yeah.
But thoughts without actions is just a waste of time.
That's right.
Yeah. You can keep dreaming, but if you don't put the action on,
Yeah.
nothing will happen.
Yes.
Okay, I've got another one.
Sure.
Is it justifiable to commit a crime one time if it means avoiding something worse happening? I think it is. Commit the crime.
Something worse happening to who and
Like,
what?
I don't know. Let's say, for example, is it worth making speeding, for example,
Okay.
to stop someone from getting injured at the end of the road type deal, where it's like, if I go really fast right now, I can get there in time and it'll save that person's life. But I'm breaking this law so that I can stop something worse from happening.
I don't think it's worth it.
Making one, okay.
No, it's not worth it. No.
Talk me through
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, it depends. Well, our line of work is we sell real estate, right? I'm
Yeah.
not saving people's lives here.
No.
If I'm running late, I'm running late.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna commit a crime by, going on a red light traffic,
Yeah.
or it's not worth it.
Not for nothing, but is it worth committing a crime to stop something bad from happening?
Never.
It's a very good question.
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
Guys,
Let's
come to me
yeah.
for your stumped
Can I
questions.
phone a friend?
I'm here for you. Yes, absolutely. Go for it. Actually, no, because we took your phones.
Yeah. That's we might have to come back to that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one last one, and then I promise it's the last one.
Sure.
Are we controlling technology, or is technology controlling us?
It depends how we use it, right? Are you a consumer or a content creator?
Yeah.
Right? If you create, I think you will control it.
I think we need it until it freaks us out.
I think it's in controlling us.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think social media is a byproduct of technology, and I think technology in our hands and on our fingertips is controlling our lives and how we think our lives should be. So it's the whole, your thoughts and your actions. So I feel that what's happening now in the world is that when you're using social media for what it should be used for, it's not a problem. But the minute you start using social media and letting it affect your life where you think you should be somewhere else doing something else with someone else, that's where I think it starts controlling our life.
Yeah.
And I think social media has been great for our business, but at the same time, it's been horrible for our business.
Okay.
Because what social media has done is created this fake it till you make it mentality for a subset or a certain generation of brokers that are not using it for what it should be used for. They're not using it to educate clients or to explain real estate or the buying and selling process or their portfolio of listings. It's more, if I go here and I'm seen here and I'm seen there and I'm at this project and I'm doing this, well, maybe then I will be perception as a successful real estate broker, and people will call me and so on and so forth. And a lot of clients fall for that trap. But when you discover pyrite and mold in an inspection, we're going to talk about inspections all of a sudden. Your social media account has nothing to do with that, and
It's not cute.
It's not cute.
It's not cute. Mold's
No.
not cute, you guys.
No, it's not cute, and I think it is. I think it does control. I think it controls our life now, and I think the next generation, my kids' generation, I think it's going to control their life even more.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, that's freaky enough as it is.
What do you think is the solution?
To social media?
Not to have, not to be controlled by it.
Well, I think it's about boundaries, isn't it? I think for me personally, or at least recognizing something within yourself. For me personally, I am my God, I am so easily influenced. It's insane. But I've also noticed that I'm just as easily de-influenced. We're noticing a lot that there are de-influencers online and everything like that, where let's say in the beauty industry, they're talking about this thing that everybody's been talking about. And in actuality, this is what it does and so on and so forth. Or this is what it does to the planet if you use it, for example. They sort of show the other side of things. So I've realized that I am a sucker for all of it. But then you just sort of get to a point where it's just sort of like, I've had too much of this good thing and I need to put it down. That's me in balance, I suppose, where it's just like, I will feel good if I don't look at this for a little while, because I have purchased all of these things that these influencers told me to purchase, and I didn't feel any different when I went to bed that night. I simply had it and that was it. And then I used it and it was gone. And then like, that's it. But I don't know. I think the social media thing, I am guilty of looking at it all the time and not necessarily contributing to it at all. And I think people are very careful to put out their best selves or their created social media self. I can name, I certainly won't, but I can think of a handful of people that I know who just are a different person on social media than they are when you are sitting in a room with them.
I know many.
But it's a shame though, because the person the person that you sit in that room with when there's no cell phone in front of them kind of thing, they're amazing. And I mean, amazing in certain ways. They're real, and I appreciate the realism. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't know, they might just like make a stupid face or swear or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, you have a personality that's so nice. It's not just the perfect angle every single time, but it's like, I think maybe now influencers are starting to come on to the fact that actually people don't love seeing that part, the perfect angle, the great filter, the get ready with me this morning kind of thing. It's like, it's cool. I get ready with me every morning. Like I know how it works type deal.
So it's interesting you say that, and tying it into this podcast, we are going to be anti all of that.
Okay.
So we want to we want to be as real as possible.
Yeah.
So we're not going to use filters on this podcast. We're not going to, no.
I'm kidding.
We're going to be casual. You're not going to see us here in a suit and tie.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to sit here and talk about how many listings we sold last week or how much sales volume we did in the first 3 months of the year. We're not talking about that. We're going to talk about, pardon my language, but we're going to talk about real shit.
I love real shit.
Yeah, we're going to talk about real shit because I think that's what's missing in the world right now is real, you know? Do I wake up and think 10 times this morning about what I'm going to wear because, oh my God, it's so weird to not wear a blazer with a hanky and be on camera at the Drummond office for something 5 Pound is filming. No, it's just be yourself. And we're going to get to be ourselves with the Homebodies group, but the beauty is we're going to get to be ourselves with our guests and you know, tie into how those guests and what they're talking about have affected our lives.
I think it'll be an interesting thing to follow as well, because it's a brand new podcast, but it's also a brand new thing for you to do type deal, you know? So following the journey of it all and sort of like, I don't know, I think it'll be really cool to look back on this episode 10 episodes from now and just sort of be like, wow. We thought we were being really cool and confident, but look at how stiff and weird we are. Like,
we are going to actually look back at it and be like, thank God the construction's done.
Yeah,
but
he says it now, but it'll come back.
It'll probably be back, but we'll probably look back at it and be like, oh my God, we look very nervous. We look very green.
Good though.
You know,
good. It's real.
But it's fine because like we talked about before the podcast even started recording this morning, is that like, how are we going to edit it? Yeah. Maybe we don't edit. You know?
I hope we do. Only
the
for
cough.
Things. Yeah, and the cough has got to go.
Yes.
But I know, I think it'll be really interesting to follow it for those reasons and everything like that. And I think just, you know, for what it is that you guys want people to get out of this, like, I guess, final question, why should people listen?
It's a journey that we are going to benefit from, and we want to share everything with our viewers. The goal is to learn, keep learning, and
why not do it with an audience?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And you know, with no edit.
Yeah.
As is.
Yeah.
And
I think we're not going to bore people with.
That's right.
You know, we're not going to bore people with like what do you do in multiple offer situations?
Yes. Yeah.
Or what do you do when, you know, you discover a foundation crack in the home you're about to buy?
Yeah.
People do care about that, but it's relative to what's going on in their life at that time, and if they are purchasing or selling a home. We are real estate brokers, but at the end of the day, we're human beings. We have a lot of interests. We both love talking. That's why we're in this industry. And we are going to share that with everyone. And if we get one of you to listen, that's a success.
Yeah.
And one day we hope to have 100,000 of you listening.
You should have the first person who listens in as a guest at some point.
Yes.
We'll figure out who it is.
It'll probably be one of these.
No, they don't count.
One of these audience members we have here right now.
I love it. Well, listen, for me personally, this has been an absolute treat. I look forward, pardon me. Oh, good. I get to choke the same way I choked at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Full circle.
I look forward to coming back and being able to chat with you guys again in the future. Hopefully it wasn't like weird having someone here who won't be here for every episode or whatever, but I love hanging out with you guys, and I'll do it if ever you'll have me back.
Not at all. And I have to say, I'm sure I speak on behalf of Ali and I, that I want to thank you.
Thanks.
Michelle, Kyla, Justin, the whole M team,
The crew,
Clay,
for sure.
5 Pound.
Yeah.
If I'm missing anyone, please, do remind me. But you guys were awesome in putting this together, helping us with this endeavor. And I look forward to, I'm already looking forward. This is how ambitious and focused I am. I'm looking forward to season 2 already.
Okay.
We're on episode 1. It's crazy.
We're wishing away things now at this point.
So, welcome to episode 1. Welcome to a new year.
Yeah.
And hopefully a lot of you will be listening. And we want to offer as much value as possible while being real.
Yeah, watch this space.
And our next guest, Justin.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Justin Cole.
No way.
He has so much to tell us.
Oh, God. You guys really need to...
We're going to need more than 1 hour.
What?
Yes.
Have we only been here for an hour?
Yes.
It's
Damn.
going to be good.
That was a fast one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's our next guest, and we're looking forward to that as well.
Amazing.
Thank you so
Looking forward
much.
to hearing
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh, my
Appreciate
God.
it.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.